other words. Was this not already on record? Okay. So, if you can do this thing and see, you choose a few words like this and check, where does the stress fall? Okay, check where does the stress fall. That is how you have to do this work. You will see in most of the cases, you will see that if there is a long vowel or a diphthong in a word, the stress usually falls on that syllable. Okay, not just in the case of trainee or career when it is at the ending of the word, but in majority of the cases, if you do this experiment and see, you will understand that the stress falls on this. Because more the strength of the vowel used, I mean, if there's a longer vowel there, then it has the capacity to attract the stress on itself. More sonority, so more the stress usually falls on it. Okay, are these 2 points understood about nouns syllable division stress marking on the first syllable, and the case of a word where there are diphthongs and long vowels, especially at the end of the word. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, okay. Then about adjectives. We discussed this already. Stresses on the second syllable, right? Then some adjectives, the same case as you see in noun, you see that the same thing repeats even in the case of adjectives, which is the last syllable, if there is a long vowel sound or a diphthong in it, then that particular long vowel, whichever that syllable is, whichever syllable is carrying that long vowel and the diphthong, right? That is going to be stressed. Guys, just give me a minute. I'll just about 10 seconds. Okay. So similarly, like you saw in the case of nouns, right? That rule is going to be applicable for adjectives also. In case you have a diphthong or a long vowel sound at the end of, especially as a part of the last syllable of the word, then that is the syllable which is going to be stressed. Okay. Example here is complete, extreme. Okay. So what is this? Complete, extreme, both of them are adjectives. And if you look at complete, the last syllable, which is pleat, right? That has a long vowel, E. Extreme also, the case is same. So because of the presence of a long vowel in the last syllable, the stress is again on these two. I understand, even otherwise people might have a tendency, since there are only 2 syllables in this, the rule anyway says that it should be marked on the second syllable. This one becomes more handy for us in cases where you have, more than 2 syllables. As long as there are only 2 syllables, we are okay in case of adjectives and verbs, because we know that we mark it on the second syllable. In case you have more number of syllables than 2, then these rules will definitely help you to mark the stress. Okay? Any questions? Any doubt? Anything? No?
Ma'am, can you tell me the stress in strawberry?
Sorry?
Strawberry.
In strawberry? Strawberry, you will mark it on the first word. Sorry, first syllable.
Is it because of like consonant cluster or noun only?
No. Consonant clusters have got nothing to do with stress. They don't participate in the stress process. Stress rules are derived based on vowels. Like I told you, stress is a property of vowels. Consonant don't have much role to play there. Okay. Strawberry, because it's a noun, you're marking it in the first syllable. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. Then comes 2-syllable verbs. Yes, as we discussed, the stress is going to be on the second syllable. Okay. Trisyllabic words. Okay. Next, we are going to look at the trisyllabic words. So even in the case of trisyllabic words, okay, even if you're dealing with trisyllabic words, the rules don't change as far as nouns and adverbs are concerned. Right? They will still follow the rule that you saw for disyllabic nouns and adverbs, right? Which is the stress is going to be marked on the first syllable, right? So look at this. Let's take the example here. The example we have here is photograph. Okay, now why this is important? Because the moment you say trisyllabic, right? Most of the words that are converted to adjectives or verbs, right? Whenever the word transformation happens from one form to other, the resultant words are most usually trisyllabic in nature, right? And how does that happen? These words start adding suffixes to them, right? Some sort of suffixes or prefixes are mostly it is suffix, right? Mostly suffixes are added to words to change their category from noun to adjective or to verb, so on and so forth. And because of the addition of these suffixes, certain suffixes are going to bring a shift in the stress pattern in the original word. Because of this particular process, in trisyllabic nouns, you will see that sometimes, although the existing rule, the basic rule says that the stress is on the first syllable, you will find a lot of words, trisyllabic nouns particularly, which does not follow this rule, okay, or which we see as a little, off this rule, right? By common rule, it should be that when a given word is a noun, it is definitely marked on the first syllable. That's the rule that should go in the general terms of things. But because of the formation of words from different categories, because of the addition of suffixes that bring about a change in the stress pattern of the word, nouns that are trisyllabic, a lot of them, we see that they do not follow this rule of marking stress on the first syllable. Okay, is this point understood? Yes, no? So look at the example of photograph, right? So photograph is the basic word you have, right? That's the noun, the first hand word we have. Where is the stress mark here?
Ma'am, in the first one.
First one, right? Photograph. So it's marked on the first syllable. No confusions here. It's a trisyllabic noun, photograph, right? So 3 syllables. And as per the rule, we have marked the stress on the first syllable, right? But
Yes.
look at the second word. Photography. Is this still a noun? Photography? Yes, it is still a noun. But what has happened? We have added a suffix to it, photography, right? Now, that particular Y, the suffix that we have added, it has caused a change in the stress pattern here. What has happened? The stress is now shifted to the second syllable in the word. In the initial word, in the base word, root word photograph, it was in the first syllable, the stress was in the first syllable. You added the suffix Y to it, the stress is now changed to the second syllable, which is to. So photography. Photograph, photography, right? We've added other thing to it. You have now converted this into photographic. What is the class of word here? Noun, adjective, verb, what is it? I say photographic memory. What is photographic here?
Adjective.
Adjective, right? Now what has happened? You added the suffix IC to it, and you have changed the category of that particular word into a noun, sorry, an adjective, right? Now what has happened to the stress?
It has
It has
shifted.
shifted to the third syllable, right? So
Yes.
3 words relatively, same, related to each other, but 2 of them in the same category, 1 of them in the different category after the addition of suffix. You see that there is a significant change in the stress pattern. Okay, so when you added IC, the stress is now shifted to the third syllable. You added Y, the stress shifted to the second syllable. So for the same thing, you see that there is a difference in the way the stress is marked. This is what I meant. In trisyllabic words, this becomes very common. Okay, so most often you will see that the existing rule of mark it on the first syllable takes a back seat. Okay, only in the cases where you don't have much of confusion, no suffixes present, only root word present, this rule may be applicable. But the moment suffixes come in, so if, specifically some of the suffixes that are added, they can cause changes in the stress patterns like we see here. Okay, we'll see what are those suffixes in a moment. Okay. And again here, the rule that we discussed before, that if you have a long vowel or a diphthong in this case, right, in the last syllable of the word, then the stress is going to be on that particular syllable. Okay. Because any other kind of, patterns or any other kind of process is dull when compared to, say, a diphthong sound present in the word or a long vowel sound present in the word. It is highly sonorous, which is why it is going to attract the stress on it. Okay. So that is the rule here. And in terms of adjectives, 3-syllable adjectives, stressed on, it says first syllable, but again, you need to exercise caution here because the moment we say adjectives, we know that it is going to have a lot of suffixes with it. So most of the times what happens, the stress in the word is based on these suffixes rather than the word itself. Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to
Ma'am,
think
but
about
in
something.
like photographic is an adjective and it is 3 syllables, right? But this
Sorry. Actually, wait. Before you ask me any question, nouns and adjectives, I think I have been constantly telling you adjectives are stressed on the second syllable, right? But
yes,
adjectives are stressed on the first syllable. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I initially this column 2 was meant for verb, so I got confused between these two. So verb is second syllable, but all the other three, right? Adverbs, adjectives, and noun. All of them are going to be stressed on that first syllable. Okay, unless otherwise mentioned. In nouns and adjectives case, suffixes play a lot of role in determining where the stress falls, especially in words that are trisyllabic. Okay, I'm sorry about it. Don't consider that. Adjectives are also stressed on the first syllable, whether disyllabic or trisyllabic or polysyllabic. Okay.
ma'am, the verbs are stressed on the second syllable, right?
Second. Yes.
Even in the third column, it is written that they are stressed on the first syllable.
There. Oh,
Um,
that is 3-syllable verbs, no? Disyllabic verbs are stressed on the second syllable only.
okay, ma'am.
So if you have a word like imagine, where do you think it's going to be stressed? How many syllables in the word imagine? This is a verb, right? Imagine.
Yes, ma'am.
Where would you stress in imagine? There is no prefix here, no suffix here. It's a whole word and it's a verb. So where do you think is the stress? It's on
Ma'am,
the
on the
second syllable.
second. Yes, ma'am.
Huh. Oh, you're telling me it is written first syllable.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. That again, don't go by that. Verbs always they take the stress on the second syllable. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Always the stress is on the second syllable, whether 2 syllables or 3 syllables or more than that, unless mentioned otherwise, and unless other problems come in like suffixes and all that, it's always on the second. And adjectives, nouns, and adverbs always on the first. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in like photographic is an adjective, right?
Photographic is an adjective, yes.
And it is 3 syllables.
It is
So,
3 syllables.
but here the stress is on this third one.
That is what we just discussed, no? Because it has the suffix ik in it. And some of the suffixes, they cause stress shifts. That is exactly why I quoted that example for you. In general cases, it should be marked on the first syllable, but because of the presence of the
Suffix.
suffix ik, the stress pattern has now shifted. Okay.
Okay.
Ah, all right. So now, we'll discuss this. So this is exactly what we're going to do now. Okay, suffixes and stress patterns. Okay, prefixes, like we discussed, they generally don't bring about much change. In verbs, it doesn't matter since verbs anyway they take the stress on the second syllable. Uh, Prefix do not have much role to play there. And they are considered for stressing only when they're present in nouns, right? And that too because nouns take usually the stress on the first syllable and prefix happen to be the first thing that appears in a word if they are present. So they take the stress. That's all. Okay. Now, what is more important for us to understand in terms of stress patterns are suffixes. Okay. Look at these I suffixes, right? The IAL, IAN, ION, IOUS, IENT, ICAL, IC, the one that we just saw in photographic, ICS, like ITY, IFY, IVE, ITIVE, etude, okay, which is ITUD, like in the word multitude, right? IBLE, IBLE, IUM, IMUM, right? All of these I suffixes, okay, the ones that are listed here. There are other I suffixes which take other stress patterns. They are specifically mentioned, they're separately mentioned in this slide. But the ones that you see here, okay, they are commonly together called as the I suffixes. They all begin with I. Where do they take the stress if they appear in a word? Immediately before one of these suffixes. That is, whatever the syllable is right before this suffix, that is going to take the stress. Like, for example, the word photographic, as we saw, right? Where was it stressed? Previous slide.
Graphic.
The syllable that was right before the suffix ik. Okay, do
Yes.
you see this?
Yes.
So we also call this as the penultimate syllable. Okay. If you find the word penultimate anywhere in the question paper, it basically means right before this. Okay. Which is in common language also called as second last. Okay. Or last something. I don't remember. There's, I think, one more phrase that is last but one. Yeah. Like that. Okay. So all of them mean the same. Just means that the preceding syllable. So all of these suffixes that's listed here, also known as the I suffixes, I group suffixes, if they are present in a given word, then the stress pattern is usually determined, or the stress is usually marked on the syllable preceding the suffix. Okay, these suffixes. Got this? So a lot of examples that you have, mostly, there are too many words with the shell and the shen suffixes in English, right? So all of them, if you understand this rule, all those millions of words that you have with these suffixes, they are sorted. Okay. So this is the first rule with respect to suffixes. Okay. The second one, O-R-E-R, L-Y and Y. The first two one, OR and ER, usually are suffixes that help you form nouns from verbs, right? Like teacher, or speaker, or director, right? They're usually suffixes that are used to change a verb into a noun. So those ones, if you find them anywhere, then usually the word is going to be stressed on the first syllable. Why? Because, these are suffixes that help you change from verb to noun. No? So if you have a noun, obviously, the rule is that you stress on the first syllable. So OR, ER suffixes, the stress changes to the first syllable because the resultant word is usually a noun in case of OR, ER suffixes. LYY. LY, you may not be able to say what happens with Y particularly, but LY, what sort of words do you have with LY? Adverb, right?
Yes.
Adverb. Yeah. So adverbs, where, as per the rule, where do you usually mark it? On the first syllable?
First syllable.
First syllable. So if you are changing adding ly to something, then basically it means you are making it an adverb, and hence by the rule it's going to be again marked on the first syllable, right? Same goes for y. Okay. So y suffixes ly, y, or, er. Okay. They're all going to change the if at all they occur as suffixes in a word, then they'll shift the pattern of the stress by making it mark the stress on the first syllable. Okay, right. Now the third one here, able, airy, shin, shill, airy, graphy, ludgy, and tull. Okay, can you tell me what do they convert all? If you add these suffixes to words, what category or class of words would you have?
Like with graphy, I can think of geography,
Photography.
Yes,
photography,
yes.
noun word.
Nouns, right? Mostly nouns. Okay, mostly nouns. How about able? Able will be adjective mostly, right? But the rest of the things that you see here, and even TAL, tell is also going to give you adjective. But rest of them's ARY, shen, shell, graphy, logy, they the resultant words are going to be mostly noun, right? Now, if that is the case, ideally the case should be that, you mark it on the first syllable, whether it's a noun or an adjective. Okay, but see what is happening here. These suffixes are a bit powerful by themselves, so hence they can cause a change in the stress pattern. Even these suffixes are going to attract the stress on the syllable right before the suffix. Similar to the first set. The first set of 5 suffixes, these suffixes behave very similar. They behave exactly the same as the first set of suffixes, the I suffixes, wherein you will see that their presence is going to shift the stress to the syllable preceding these suffixes. Okay, so example, say a word like photography, the one that we discussed. Okay, uh, or something like, what example can I give? Magician. Okay, where is the stress in magician? If you understand this rule, can you tell me where would be the stress in magician?
I'm on the first syllable.
Magician. Think about it. What is the rule?
Sorry.
Huh.
She, ma'am, on
On the second syllable, right? On G. Magician. So G takes it because that is a syllable right before the suffix shin. Okay. Okay. All right. Um, Even the other, I don't think if it is mentioned here. Let me just quickly check it. ION is mentioned, but okay, the other suffix TION, right? Like the one that appears in words like examination and all that, right? Even that suffix behaves very similar to this. So both the CIAN shin and the other TION shin are going to take stress on the penultimate syllable. That is the syllable preceding the suffix. Okay. Just mention since I did not see it in the list. All right. Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, these two last set of suffixes, they're also important. Sometimes you'll see them appear in the exam. These ones. E, yes,
magician is disyllabic or tri?
sorry, louder.
Magician is disyllabic or tri?
Magician. Yes, you tell me. Magician.
Magician. Ma'am, tri?
Yes. That is trisyllabic.
Okay.
Huh. Okay, so the fourth one here, E, is, it, et, right? All of these suffixes, they take the stress on themselves. So this has got nothing to do with what goes before it, after it. If you find these suffixes in the word, then the stress is on the suffix itself. So example, trainee, like the one that we discussed, Japanese, Chinese, right? They take the stress on themselves. They don't give it to anybody else. Picturesque, esque is not added here. You can even take ESQUE, esque. Even that takes the stress on itself. Okay. ETTE, netiquette. Okay. Crochet, right? So ETTE suffixes also take the stress on themselves. Okay. So these are a little different from the others in the sense that others, they affect the stress pattern by, shifting it between the other syllables. These, they take it on themselves. Okay, E and E's you should know because both of them involve the long vowels. So obviously, it's going to take the stress on itself. To that list, you can also add the ik and the et and the s suffixes. Okay. The last one here, the al, ali, s, full, ish, less, li, would, ship, right? These suffixes, they are what you call as neutral suffixes. Okay, why do we call them neutral suffixes? Because they don't cause any change in the stress pattern. You add these suffixes to any word, it will retain the original stress. For example, look at a word like careful. Okay, so what did I do? I have added the suffix full to it, right? And then you have the word care. What is care?
Noun.
Care is not. Mhm.
Like verb.
Care is verb, right? And it is monosyllabic. No question of stress. Definitely the stress is going to be marked on the first syllable since that's the only one there. But after I make it careful, now you have two syllables, right? And the rule for verb says that if it is a, sorry, okay, then what happens to care? After I add full, what happens to care? Careful. What is the category of the word careful?
Ma'am, adjective.
Then it becomes an adjective, right? So by that rule also care should be marked on the first syllable. But even otherwise, since it carries the suffix full, there is not going to be any change in the stress pattern. It would be retained. Let's work with a different example. To this list, you can also add another suffix, ment, M-E-N-T, right? Like you see in the word government and improvement and all that, right? MENT is also a neutral suffix. So if I take an example, government, okay, what is the base word here? From where do we get the word government? Govern, right? Govern. And what is govern? Is it a verb or a noun or it's a verb, right? Where is the stress marked in the word govern? If it's a verb, disyllabic verb. Verbs are marked on second syllable, right? Second syllable, right? Now, if I add men to it, I have the word government. And what is the category of this word? Government. Is it adjective? Is it noun? Is it verb? What is it?
Ma'am, noun.
Noun, right? Government is a noun. So as per the rule, if it is a noun, then the stress should be where ideally on the first syllable. But in case of government, where is the stress? It's in the second syllable itself. Okay. So both govern and government are going to have the stress on the same syllable, which is the second syllable one, right? Why did it not change? Because you added a neutral suffix ment to it. Okay, ment is neutral. It does not bring about any change. It when you add it to a word, the actual stress, whatever its original stress is, that stress is retained. No change occurs. Okay, that is what we mean by neutral suffix. So AL, ALLY, right? ESS. It's not ESS actually. It should be NESS, ness, right? Like in the word happiness. Some typo here. I'll make that change. Okay. NESS, it should be. Okay, ALLY, NESS. Then full, then ish, right? Like childish, sheepish, less, okay, careless, hopeless. LY, okay, most of those adverb suffixes. Hood, likelihood. Ship, friendship. So whenever you have these suffixes in a word, what happens? The stress pattern remains the same. There's no change in the stress, which is why they're also called as a neutral suffixes. Okay. So these are the some of the basic suffixes that you must know. There are many more suffixes, but these are the more popular ones and the more commonly found, more abundantly found suffixes with the words, which is why we have specific rules for all of this. Okay. Now, in addition to all of this, you have two other kind of stresses, which is one out of which one is called the functional stress. Okay, which is what? There are words which are used as both nouns and verbs, right? Example, project, object. So if you have words which can be used both as noun and verb, then we mark the separation or we mark the distinction between these two by changing the stress in their usage. So if it is used as a noun, then you're going to mark it on the first syllable, right? And if it is going to be used as a verb, then you're going to mark it on the second syllable. So in case of project, if I say project, then what is the usage here? Project.
And like it is, if it is noun, it is on the first one.
Correct, correct. No, so I'm just trying to, articulate it for you how it works. So when the stress is on the first syllable, PROJECT is going to be project, right? Project. But if it is used as a verb, then it is project, right? So this difference of the use as a noun or a verb is indicated through your articulation. And what helps you in articulating it is the stress, the difference in the stress, right? So object, right? I object to what you say, but please carry that object away from the room, right? So this is how you're going to show that difference in your speech as well. The last thing here is the stress marking in compound nouns. So if you have compound noun, again, the stress is going to be marked on the first word, right? Whatever the word is in the compound, the first word, you're going to mark the stress on that one. Okay. And if you have an adjective or something in that, so if it is a noun adjective combination, then the stress shifts to the second word, right? But if it is only noun and noun compounding, then it is going to be on the first syllable. Okay. So these are the major stress rules that you need to follow. Rest of it is fine. Okay. Anything? Any questions?
Ma'am, the ly
Yes.
suffix. Ma'am,
Huh.
at one place it is written that the stress should be on the first syllable, and like here it is written the stress remains unchanged.
Yeah, I mean, see, ly usually is a neutral one. Even in the other case, the stress is on the first syllable because this ly is neutral. It is not bringing about any change. Okay, so it means basically one and the same thing. You can follow the first rule for ly, which is, see, not all words with why this rule because not all words with the li suffix is an adverb, right? Ly can form, it can give you words which are adverbs, or rather, it is the suffix that you use mostly to form the adverbs, but that also doesn't mean that if every word, not every word with ly suffix is going to be an adverb. Okay, that is why this rule is put separately. When it forms an adverb, of course, it's going to be marked as the first syllable, on the first syllable. But in other cases, when it forms suffixes in a different case, this rule is applicable of no, neutral suffix. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
you can
Ma'am,
check it. Let's look at it right away. Think of words with ly suffix,
Ma'am, practically
which
is
are not adverbs. Okay?
practically.
Practically, isn't it adverb? It is adverb.
Okay, ma'am.
Hmm. Think about this. Okay, fine. There are definitely words which end with ly but are not adverbs.
I'm lovely.
Lovely.
Lovely is an adverb.
She's got
Lovely is
the
an
lovely
adjective. Yes. Lovely is an adjective, right? And similarly, the word I'm checking if friendly. Friendly. right? Friendly is also a word that ends with ly, but it is not an adverb; it's an adjective, right? So as per this rule, where do you think friendly is going to be marked? If you apply this rule, so if ly is neutral and it does not apply to the word for marking stress, then we are left with which word to determine the stress? Friend, right? In case I'm putting a friend. So where do you think friend is going to have the stress?
The first level.
First syllable, because it's a noun, right? I add ly to it, no change in that, because ly doesn't participate. And even otherwise, because there's only one syllable, I mean, there's no point to speak too much, right?
Ma'am,
The same
friend is
goes,
monosyllabic, right?
friend is monosyllable.
Okay.
Okay. So you can
Yes.
find out a few words like this to test this one. So the answer to your question is basically ly doesn't guarantee that your word is an adverb. Okay. This is why two separate rules for it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, one more question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Ma'am, like taking words like government into consideration,
Huh.
like whenever there is a suffix added, we have to
Hmm.
check it by suffix rather than checking it as a noun, right?
Yes. Yes. Whenever you have a suffix in a word, the better process, or rather the only process you should be following, is to mark the stress based on the suffix present in the word, rather than checking whether it is noun or adjective or anything. Okay, because if you follow that rule, you can go wrong. Hmm?
Okay.
So when a suffix is there in the word, then please check the suffix first, if it is something that affects the stress pattern or not, and then you can mark the stress accordingly.
Okay.
Okay. Huh. All right. So it is about 7, but we can spend some 10 minutes more if you can, and then do that exercise so that we can wrap it up. Otherwise, there's a feeling of, see, somebody wanted to join, but there's no point. Hmm. Okay, you can see the screen now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to start doing this one. We'll mark the stress here. Write a few about, yeah, we have enough words. I think I might have included most of it what the rule covers. So we'll start without wasting time. First one is duration. Duration. Where is the stress here?
Ma'am, on the first syllable.
Yeah. Okay. Duration. Look at it closer. What do you have? You have a suffix in there, no?
Achha, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It has to be on gray, right? Since you have the shen suffix here, you have to mark it on the penultimate syllable, or
Yes,
the one that goes before it. So that's on the second syllable, gray. Okay. Next one is legal. Legal. Legal.
ma'am, on the last second one.
Sorry.
Legal.
Where?
Legal.
We only have two syllables here, right? And this is also a, what is this? Legal is an adjective. So you're going to mark it on the first syllable,
First.
right? So disyllabic adjective, obviously first syllable. Wealthy. Wealthy. What is wealthy?
Ma'am, adjective.
Adjective, right? So where is the stress going to be? And again, this is also a disyllabic adjective. So wealthy.
First syllable, right?
First syllable. Okay.
Yes.
Recommendation.
Ma'am,
Recommend.
Ah.
Is
Till
verb.
what time is the class?
It was 6 to 7, Tanya.
ma'am, it should be on men.
No, no. There is
What time is the class?
the class is at 6.
From 6 to 7, ma'am.
Yes.
Because I was just in,
Yes.
I was just little.
Okay. Yeah, so your word has a recommendation, right? So it has shin at the end, and hence the stress is going to be on day,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
The penultimate, right? Right. Okay, this one I think we did discuss, but we can look at it again. Imagine. This is what?
Verb. Verb.
Verb, right? Verb.
Yes.
Second.
So where is the stress going to be?
Second syllable.
Second, right? Okay, so this is imagine. So the stress is going to be on the second one, which is math, right? Confidence. Confidence. In the cases where you're able to detect the suffix, you should look for suffix, right? But if you're confused in that case, or you're unable to detect a suffix, or you don't find one, then you have to go by the category, right? So you can look at stress rules in that sense. Okay. So if there is a stress, then look for the stress rules first. If that is not there, then you go by the category rules, right? So confidence, we don't see any stress. So then you can look at its word category and then mark the stress. Confidence is
Noun.
noun. So you're going to stress it on. The stress will be marked down.
First
First.
syllable.
Okay, first. Then comes certain. Certain.
Adjective.
Certain is an adjective, right? So where are you going to mark it? And when, more importantly, it is a disyllabic adjective. So by rule, where are we going to mark it?
Second
First syllable
syllable.
again, right? First syllable. Correct.
First. Okay, ma'am.
Then comes resolution. Resolution.
Noun.
Sorry. No,
Is
no.
it a noun?
No, ma'am. Suffix is there.
Oh, okay.
There is a suffix there, yes, and hence the stress is on.
Lu.
So resolution, it's going to be on the penultimate syllable, which is the syllable right before the suffix. Okay. So follow this thing that I have told you, that look at the word carefully and decide if it has a stress, suffix. Okay. If there's a suffix, then you have to do the suffix rule setting first and then go by the category. Okay. Second, the one after that, amount. 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 This word is a little important. I want you to pay attention to this. Amount. Listen to this word carefully as I say amount.
The second, like noun.
Sorry?
Mom.
So what the stress syllable is the second one, amount. And the reason being, you want to say why? Because amount is a word that you can use both as a noun and a verb. Okay. So you can either use it as a noun or you can also use it as a verb. But in either of the cases, the stress is going to be, we discussed something before, right? Like if a word is used as both as a noun or a verb, then the stress is different. If it is used as a noun, then you stress on the first syllable. If it is used as a noun, you're going to, in verb, you're stressing it on the second syllable. And in noun, you stress on the first syllable, right? But this is not applicable in the case of the word amount. You tell me why? In both cases, you're going to mark it on mount, the second syllable. What's the reason? Want to try? Shivangi, are you not able to speak because I see that you're
No, ma'am, I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. The reason is the first sound that you hear in the word amount, it's actually shwa. Okay. So the that you see there is basically a shwa sound, mount. Okay. Which is why I repeated 2, 3 times. Mount, not amount, mount. It's barely audible. Because it is shwa, like we discussed, we cannot mark stress on shwa, right? Because it is unstressed. Hence, the stress doesn't, whichever way you use it, whether it's noun or verb, you cannot have the stress on the word, even though mount can be used as a noun, since the first sound you hear in that is a shwa sound, and shwa is not stressed. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So watch out for this also in the words, right? See whether, we are detecting our shva in the word. If you find it anywhere in the syllable, then you know that you can't mark the stress there. Hmm? Okay. Next one, monthly. Monthly. Monthly.
Adjective, ma'am.
Ma'am, it is on first syllable.
Monthly is adjective. Okay. I know that is okay, but uh, it has a suffix, no? So I've told you if it has a suffix, then you first look at the suffix. Monthly can be used as, you're right, it is an adjective. It can be used as a noun. It can be used as an adverb also. Some words have multiple use.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if that is the case, especially if a word is used as, used in multiple categories, then there are other things that we need to take care before marking the stress.
Okay, ma'am.
So you now the only chance with you is to look at the suffix. Since it has multiple usages, then we only go by stress. So ly, does it affect the stress?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
In
It's
monthly, is it a suffix?
Hmm.
ly.
ly. It is, right? So monthly 11, when you use it that way, then monthly 11 is what? It's used as an adjective. Okay. When you use it in the sense that, something is paid monthly, then it's an adverb, right? So it has both usage. You're going to, what rule would you use in this case? You're going to use the ly suffix rule, okay? And since ly is neutral and doesn't participate, you just let the stress stay on the first syllable, which is the actual stress on the word month, okay? It's a monosyllabic word. It's going to take the stress on itself, right? Month. Ly is neutral, so no change in the stress pattern and stress on the first syllable. Okay, right? Next
Yes.
one is reputation. Reputation. So this is the
Hey.
stay, right? Stay because you have the shin suffix. Okay. Witness. 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 Is the NES here a suffix?
Yes, ma'am. NESS.
Is it?
But no.
No, right? No. That would be wittiness. Okay. This is witness. Witness is what? It's a noun, right? Like
Yes.
convict and witness, right? This is that witness. This is a noun. This is so NES here is not a suffix. It's the word itself. Okay. So then where is the stress?
On the first syllable.
First syllable.
On the first syllable. On the first. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Word category?
Adjective.
It's a
Excellent work.
noun.
Excellent work.
Verb.
Verb or a noun, ma'am?
Adjective, right? Adjective. Excellent work. It's definitely excellent is an adjective, right? So adjective. Where will you mark the stress in excellent?
First syllable.
First syllable.
So in such cases, is one thing that you need to check if your first word, the first sound is a schwa or not. What is it in the case of excellent? It's not, right? It's excellent. We don't say excellent. No, it's
Yes.
excellent. You can clearly hear the A sound. So Yes, you're right. So the syllabus, the stress is on the first syllable, right? Excellent. Civilization. Civilization. Next.
Ma'am, they.
They, right? You see, most of those suffixes, no, the E suffixes and the other one, they're easy because it's easy for you to mark. The moment you detect that suffix, you know that the stress is going to be on the syllable before it. Okay, factorial. This is also an interesting word. I would like to know how you answer this. Factorial. Factorial.
Ma'am, on tell.
Quantum. Why? Because you have the
Yes.
yeah, you have the
I
EL
EL
sub. Correct. Correct. Analogy. Analogy.
Is it a noun, ma'am?
Analogy is a noun, yes. Correct. It's a noun.
Noun, ma'am.
First syllable.
First syllable. Okay. How many syllables here? Tell me that first.
Ma'am,
Three.
4.
No, three. Na, legi. Legi is together. We don't treat them as two different things. Okay, so analogy. Huh? Now, in this case, what happens? This is very similar to the word amount.
Oh, Shwasam.
The first sound is what? It's a shva. So, there is no way you can mark it on that. You're going to mark it on the second syllable here. The next syllable then available to is the second syllable. So, stress is on the second syllable here. Okay, you're right, because it's a noun and there's also laji here. Ideally you should have been able to mark it on the first syllable, but because here you have shwa instead in this word and it is unstressed, you have to shift it to the second syllable. Okay, so analogy, that's the reason. Whenever you have these sounds here, no, especially the EA combinations A or just E and all that, please watch out. You see before you mark the stress, you confirm whether you have shwa or not. Okay. Next comes family. Family. Family does it have a it's a noun, right? And no suffix here.
No
So
suffixes there.
which syllable?
First.
Syllable. Yes, correct. Next one, ashamed. Ashamed.
Sure, ma'am. Second syllable.
Verb, ma'am. Second syllable.
Second one. That is. Do you have a suffix here? There's an ed suffix, but that doesn't participate, so it's okay. You're right. It's on the second syllable, right? And again, what was the rule you used?
Shwasam.
Shwa sound, right? First sound you hear is the shwa sound. Okay, then comes resign. 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 Resign is what?
Verb.
Noun, adjective. It's a verb. So stress on
Second
second syllable, right? Second syllable, resign. So sign is the one that's going to take the stress. Next comes suddenly.
Ma'am, ly suffix is there.
Ly. So now in this case, what is this? Suddenly, this is basically adverb. So you're going to use that rule, ly. So the stress is on
First
syllable. Okay. Now next again,
Ma'am,
seriously.
like suddenly, like when ly is there, the stress is on the first syllable.
No. Suddenly is an adverb, right? We know even by word categories an adverb.
Yes, ma'am.
So in adverbs, usually the stress is on first syllable. So we take the category rule, not ly.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Second thing, seriously. Seriously. Seriously is again what?
Ly suffix is there.
No. Question is whether it's
Adverb. It's adverb.
is it an adverb or see. I ask you this question because ly, like we discussed, not always you have adverbs with ly. But yes, seriously is an adverb, so you can apply the adverb rule here, right? So where is the stress then? First syllable, right? Okay. Then comes advisor. Advisor. Advisor.
Yes, Shwasa on the last one.
Hmm?
Ma'am, at last we have ER, right? Shwasa.
Yes. Yes. So you have a schwa there. Right. So definitely that is not the stress syllable. Now you have to choose between the first two. The third one is out since it has an the schwa. So first or second?
Ma'am, at the second.
Second again. Okay, second again, because two things you can use either of this rule. Advise is what you're left with is advise, which is basically a verb. So as per the rule, bisyllabic verbs take stress on second thing. Alternatively, you can also say between ed and wise, there is schwa again in the first syllable ed. Okay. So again, that is also out of the stress marking. So the only one you left with is the second syllable, and that is. You can take either of the rule to mark stress. Sorry?
Ma'am, advise is a verb or like it is an like idea, no? So it can be noun also.
No, no.
Like
Advisor comes from
advice.
the verb advice, not the other advice. Okay. The derivation pattern for advisor is from the verb advise, not the noun advice. Okay, because the spelling is different, no, for advice. It's not SE. What is that? That advice is CE.
You see here.
Okay. This comes from the verb advice. Okay. Subset. Next one. Subset. Subset, what is it? Subset is a noun, right? It's a noun word. So, going to be marked on the
First.
first syllable. First
For
syllable.
noun, it is always on the first syllable, ma'am.
Noun, it is always the first syllable if it does not change its form using other suffixes, which is rarely the case. Like in the, whatever it forms, usually it takes a neutral suffix, like in government and all. But since I'm not sure of all the available nouns in the English language, I'm not going to make that tall claim that always it is the first syllable. But what we can say is that 85% of the time it's the first syllable, unless there is other interference. Okay. Then comes invasion. Next is invasion. Invasion. What do you have in this word? Go on.
Ma'am, at where?
Which word? On way, right? Because you have sin here, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So invasion. Then insect. Insect.
First one.
First one.
It's a noun. na?
Insect, noun, so first syllable, correct. Exhibition. Exhibition.
ION is
Ma'am, till
the
what time is the class?
I read it.
Who is this?
Dhanya.
Ma'am, this is Danya, ma'am. Actually, no, ma'am, I'm having this.
Okay, we'll continue. Exhibition.
Ma'am, at B.
On B, right? On B, because we
ION
have.
is the suffix.
Correct, correct. Uplift.
Ma'am, at lift.
Uplift is what? What category of word is this?
Verb.
Sorry?
Verb.
Verb, right? Verb, right. So where are we going to mark the stress then? Uplift is, if you look at it closely, what does it have? Uplift may also be considered a word which has a prefix, right?
Yes,
So that doesn't matter. We already discussed this. In case of verb, especially if it is a disyllabic verb, we are anyway going to mark the stress where?
Second.
Second syllable, right? So again, in this case also, we're going to mark it on lift, the second syllable, right? Uplift. Next one, comprehension. Comprehension.
Hen.
On hen, right? The second last syllable. So because you have shin here. Next is affect. A-F-F-E-C-T. Affect.
and it's a verb.
Affect can be a verb. Affect can be also a noun. Okay, use both as noun, but the more common meaning is as verb. Okay, so if it's a verb, then how are you going to mark it?
The second syllable.
Second. Okay,
Affect has schwa sound, right?
correct. Yeah, that is also the reason, right? The first sound that you hear in affect is also the schwa sound. Hence, you leave it out of the stress marking, right? And even otherwise, it is a verb, so you're going to anyway mark it on the second
Second
syllable
syllable.
for. Second. Okay, next one, issue. Issue.
Issue is a verb.
Issue is what? It's a verb. Issue.
No.
Issue can be used as a verb, but issue can also be used as what? A noun. Right. It can be used as noun. It can be used as verb also. But we are not going to be concerned too much about categories here. How are we going to mark this? Mark the stress here.
Issue.
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 Second
Ma'am, on the
syllable.
second.
No. Okay. This is a little different case. Issue, the stress is usually marked on the first syllable, okay, not on the second one. So even in the cases where we discussed about functional stress, like project and object, not in all cases can you shift between this stress. Like in project and all, we shifted between first and second in order to indicate the class category. But that rule is also not applicable to all the words. Okay, don't worry about this. You don't get questions like, I mean, words like this in the exam if it is confusing. This is somehow crept in the activity sheet. So issue has only one form of stress, which is on the first syllable. Okay, although it is also used as a verb. Hmm? You know, the stress is always on the first issue. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Observation. Observation.
Ma'am, wait.
Wait. Yes, because you have shen, you are going to have it on wait. Discover. Discover. Discover is what?
It's a verb and
It's a verb, right? It's a verb. So, where are you going to mark it?
second syllable.
On the second syllable. Correct. Okay, on the second syllable.
It has
Yes, tell
prefix
me.
also, right?
No, this one is, I am, yeah, maybe this one has a, sorry, prefix, but okay, this, I need to tell you that this one, this is usually a prefix that does not participate in the stress marking, you know. So if you have a word like the dishonest or something, you don't mark it on this. This does not participate. Like we spoke about meant and all, no? Ship, meant, put and all. They say like they don't participate in stress. The prefix this also, they usually don't participate in stress. So if you find this in a word, don't mark any stress on it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Like if you have words like dislike or dishonest, the stress marking actually falls on the actual root word than the prefix. So, yeah. Go ahead. Were you asking something? No?
No.
Okay.
No,
Right.
no.
So in this case, second syllable, right? Discover. Improvement. Improvement.
Approve.
On proof, right? Because if you cut off the ment suffix from that, you're left with improve. It's a verb. We know it's marked on the second syllable. And you add me into it. We know it's a neutral suffix. It does not change the stress pattern. So the stress in improve is retained, which is on the second syllable. Okay, that's how improvement also has the stress on the second syllable. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Assign, assign.
It's a verb, ma'am. So
It's a verb and
second syllable.
second
Shwasa.
syllable.
But
Shwaswa.
it's swab.
Correct. 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 Voluntary. Voluntary. Voluntary.
Voluntary action. Yes.
Category of word.
Ma'am, adjective.
Adjective. Yes. Voluntary can also be noun. And it has the
First.
ARY suffix,
Uh,
right?
Yes, ma'am.
So does ARY bring about any change?
Volent is a word.
No, for
Volunteer,
adjective, the last
Volunteer
syllable
is a word.
is stressed,
Volunteer.
ma'am. For an adjective, the last syllable is stressed.
Sorry?
She's saying that for adjective,
Huh.
last syllable
No,
is
no, no. No. For adjective, it depends on the situation you find it in. If it is I mean, we discussed this. Usually it is marked on the first syllable. If there are suffixes that affects it, then the stress pattern changes. Yeah, in the case of voluntary, I am not sure if we can take ARY, but we take it as a suffix because, it is a derived word from the noun word volunteer. Okay. So we consider ARY as the adjective suffix that is added to it to make it an adjective, which is why ARY is a suffix. Okay, it may not have a root word, but it definitely is a derived word with a suffix to make it an adjective. Okay. Root word is volunteer, basically. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Who asked the question, Shivangi?
Yes, ma'am.
Or answered? Didn't hear you. Okay, so your root word is volunteer. Whoever asked the question, and voluntary is a derived word from that, which is why ARY is the suffix. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Huh. Okay. So stress on first syllable, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Paradox. Paradox.
Paradox is a noun, ma'am.
Paradox is a noun, and the stress is going to be
First syllable.
First syllable.
paradox is a noun. The name is a noun, but okay. Paradox. So it has to be a noun, yes. I don't know why they say it is. Yes. So where do you mark the stress then? If it's a noun, if used as a noun, then on
The
first.
first syllable.
Yeah. Right. And then the last one, priority. Priority.
Prior. Prior. Ma'am, at all.
On or because it has ity as the suffix, and
Suffix.
this is the one which makes the stress fall on the syllabus, the syllable preceding the suffix, right? Ity. So or is going to be stressed in this case. Okay. So may look a little confusing in the beginning, but the more you practice with the words, it will come easily to you. Like I'm sure the shin is something that you're sure about now. Shva, somewhat okay, right? So all of those things put together should be able to give you the right stress.
Does issue have a
Issue, no, you won't get that sort of word. It might have just crept in this exercise. Maybe I did not think much when I was adding it. But issue, you won't get words like that because there seems to be some exception with respect to that. So no such cases, I mean, no words of that fashion comes to you. You get only the words which follow the rules. We don't give you the one otherwise. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So with that, we wind up the session for this STEM. And the materials are all already uploaded in the supplementary folder. So please check it out. We posted it last week. You won't find the answers because the aim behind this session is not to give you answers together because that anyway you have practice assignments. Doesn't make sense to give answers here. So those of you who have attended, at least most of the session, we will find it handy because you can use this document. And if you find anything wrong or something mentioned anywhere, just write to us. We'll rectify it. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
in
you,
and
ma'am.
all the best for your exams. We'll try and see you again on Wednesday for the live session.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye. See you.